Hello, English learners. Welcome back to Daily English Talks. I'm Mia, and today we're going to dive into something that every serious learner of English needs: advanced grammar mastery. Grammar may seem complex, but it's actually your secret key to precision and fluency. In this long lesson, you and I will go through 75 advanced grammar questions. Each one will test your understanding, stretch your thinking, and help you discover how real English works in daily life. We'll not only check the correct answers, but also explore why they are right and why the others aren't. By the end of this session, your confidence in grammar will rise dramatically. So get comfortable, relax your mind, and let's start practicing together. Let's begin with something simple, but often misunderstood. Which sentence sounds correct? If I were you, I would take the job, or if I was you, I would take the job. The correct answer is, if I were you. We use were with if in unreal or imaginary situations. This form is called the subjunctive mood. So whenever you imagine something that's not real, say if I were, not if I was. Practice with me. If I were taller, I'd play basketball. If I were rich, I'd travel the world. If I were you, I'd study English every day. Feel the pattern and say it again, slowly. Now, question 2. Which is correct? He suggested me to go, or he suggested that I go. Many learners make the mistake of using suggest someone to do something. But the verb suggest never takes an object followed by to. Instead, we use suggest that plus, subject plus base verb. So he suggested that I go to the doctor, not he suggested me to go. You can also say he suggested going to the doctor. Repeat that softly with me. He suggested that I study harder. She suggested that we leave early. They suggested waiting for the next train. Question 3. Which one is right? I look forward to see you, or I look forward to seeing you. The answer is seeing you. After look forward to, we always use a gerund. That means the ing form of the verb. So you look forward to meeting, seeing, working, talking. Never the base form. Try a few examples aloud. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to meeting you again. I look forward to working with your team. Question 4. Which is correct? She's married with a doctor, or she's married to a doctor. The correct phrase is married to. We say be married to someone, never married with someone. With is only used to describe children or possessions, like she's married with 2 kids. So if you talk about the person, use to. Repeat this gently. I'm married to an engineer. My brother is married to a teacher. She's married to her childhood friend. Let's continue with question 5. Which sounds natural? It's high time we go home, or it's high time we went home. The correct form is it's high time we went home. After it's time or it's high time, we use the past tense to express something that should have happened already. It doesn't mean the past. It expresses urgency or necessity in the present. Practice aloud. It's high time we started studying. It's time you cleaned your room. It's high time you learned how to cook. Question 6. Which one is correct? Neither of the answers are correct, or neither of the answers is correct. The correct answer is correct. Neither is singular, even though it refers to 2 things. So we say neither of the answers is correct. Neither of the books belongs to me. Repeat slowly. Neither of the options is good. Neither of them is coming today. Neither of these shirts fits me. Question 7. Which sounds right? Each of the students have finished the test, or each of the students has finished the test. The correct form is has finished. Each is singular, so the verb must be singular too. Try saying each of the children has a toy. Each of the teachers has their own classroom. Each of the players has a different skill. Question 8, which is correct. He said me that he was tired, or he told me that he was tired. The correct one is he told me. We use tell with an object, but say without. So he told me the truth. She told us a story. He said that he was tired. Practice this rhythm. She told me to come early. He said he would call later. They told us to wait outside. Question 9. Which is correct? She's good in English or she's good at English? The right answer is good at. We use good at to talk about skills or subjects. So, good at English, good at cooking, good at singing. Repeat with me softly. He's good at dancing. I'm good at listening to people. She's good at solving problems. Question 10. Which sentence is right? I didn't used to like coffee, or I didn't used to like coffee. The correct one is I didn't used to. After didn't, we use the base form of the verb, not the past form. So I didn't used to go there. He didn't used to play football. They didn't used to know each other. Try saying these aloud. I used to like tea, but now I prefer coffee. I didn't used to get up early, but now I do. Let's go to question 11. Which sounds natural? He's the most tallest boy in the class? Or he's the tallest boy in the class? The answer is the tallest. We never use most with an adjective that already has est. So say the tallest, the fastest, the biggest. Repeat softly. She's the smartest student. This is the easiest exercise. That's the longest movie I've ever seen. Question 12. Which is correct? Despite of the rain, we went out. Or despite the rain, we went out. The right one is despite the rain. We never use of after despite. But we do say in spite of the rain. So despite the cold, she went jogging. Despite his fear, he spoke up. In spite of the noise, I slept well. Question 13. Which is right? I prefer coffee than tea, or I prefer coffee to tea. The correct form is prefer something to something else. So I prefer coffee to tea. I prefer walking to driving. I prefer reading to watching TV. Try this exercise. I prefer mornings to evenings. I prefer studying alone to studying in groups. I prefer English movies to local ones. Question 14. Which sounds correct? He is used to get up early, or he is used to getting up early. The answer is getting up. After be used to, we use a noun or ing form. So I'm used to working late. She's used to driving in traffic. They're used to the cold weather. Repeat that with me gently. Question 15. Which is correct? She said me that she's busy, or she told me that she's busy. Again, told me is right. Remember, tell needs an object, say doesn't. So she told me that she's busy, not she said me. Try more, he told us the truth. They told me to wait. She said she'd come tomorrow. Question 16. Which one is correct? I didn't see nobody there, or I didn't see anybody there. The correct one is anybody. In standard English, we avoid double negatives. So I didn't see anybody, I don't know anything, she can't find anyone. Repeat that softly. I didn't hear anything. I don't want anyone to know. I haven't got any money. Question 17. Which is right? It depends of the weather, or it depends on the weather. The answer is depends on. Always use on after depend. So it depends on you, it depends on my mood, it depends on the price. Question 18. Which one is correct? I've been knowing her for years, or I've known her for years. The correct one is I've known her for years. The verb know is a state verb, not an action verb, so we don't use it in continuous tenses. Say, I've known him since 2010. I've liked this song for a long time. I've believed in you since day one. Question 19. Which is correct? I've gone to Paris last year, or I went to Paris last year. The answer is I went to Paris last year. When you mention a specific time in the past, like last year, yesterday, or in 2010, use the past simple. Present perfect is only for actions with no specific time or continuing effect. Try these. I've been to Paris before. I went there last summer. I've never been to Japan. I visited Tokyo in 2018. Question 20. Which sounds natural? I'm thinking to buy a new phone, or I'm thinking of buying a new phone. The correct one is thinking of buying. After think of or think about, use ing. So I'm thinking of moving to another city. She's thinking about changing her job. They're thinking of starting a business. As we keep moving, remember to shadow with me. Try repeating the sentences softly, matching my rhythm. Don't worry about mistakes. Focus on feeling the grammar flow through real examples. Let's take a short reflection. Grammar isn't about memorizing rules. It's about noticing patterns in real life. The next time you hear native speakers talk, listen carefully to the way they use if I were, depends on, or used to. Notice the verbs they combine with prepositions, the way tenses connect to time, and the tiny differences that change meaning. That awareness is what transforms your grammar into natural fluency. Now, let's practice through a short exercise together. Imagine you're talking to a friend about your habits. Try to use used to and be used to correctly. Say, I used to sleep late, but now I get up early. I'm used to waking up before sunrise. I used to hate vegetables, but now I'm used to eating them every day. Feel how those sentences express change and adaptation. Let's continue practicing with clauses. Repeat after me slowly. If I were rich, I'd buy a house near the ocean. If I were you, I'd keep studying every day. If I were in your place, I'd take that opportunity. Excellent. You can even make your own. Try saying, if I were confident, I'd speak English more often. If I were in London, I'd visit museums every weekend. Keep repeating until the pattern feels natural. As we wrap up this section, remind yourself that learning grammar through conversation is powerful. Every sentence you speak is an opportunity to use the right structure naturally. Don't just study rules, live them through daily expression. Take a deep breath, smile, and get ready for more challenging examples. Let's continue, my friends. I know grammar can sometimes feel tricky, but the more you listen, repeat, and understand, the more it becomes part of your natural speech. So keep your focus, relax, and listen carefully to every word. Now, question 21. Which is correct? I wish I was there, or I wish I were there. The correct one is I wish I were there. Just like we learned earlier, were is used for imaginary situations. When you say, I wish I were there, it means you're not there right now, but you want to be. Try these examples with me. I wish I were taller. I wish I were at the beach. I wish I were fluent in English already. You can almost feel the emotion in that phrase, right? Question 22. Which one is correct? It's the first time I saw him, or it's the first time I've seen him? The answer is, I've seen him. After "it's the first time," we use the present perfect tense. It connects the past event with the present moment. So, say it's the first time I've eaten sushi. It's the first time I've driven a car. It's the first time I've met someone like you. Practice that rhythm slowly. Question 23. Which sounds right? He's interested about art, or he's interested in art? The correct one is interested in. We use in after interested. So, interested in science, interested in traveling, interested in learning new languages. Repeat with me softly. I'm interested in photography. She's interested in space. They're interested in history. Question 24. Which sentence is correct? I'm going to home, or I'm going home. The answer is I'm going home. We don't use to before home because home already acts like an adverb of place here. So I'm going home, I'm staying home, I'm coming home. But we can say I'm going to my house when we use house instead of home. Try both versions aloud. I'm going home now. I'm going to my house after work. Question 25. Which one is right? He's afraid from spiders, or he's afraid of spiders? The correct one is afraid of. We always say afraid of something. She's afraid of heights. He's afraid of flying. They're afraid of losing. Practice gently. I'm afraid of making mistakes when I speak English. I'm afraid of snakes. She's afraid of being alone at night. Question 26. Which is correct? He doesn't listen to me, or he doesn't listen to me. The right answer is listen to me. We always say listen to someone. So listen to your teacher, listen to this song, listen to me carefully. Repeat it softly. I'm listening to you. They never listen to advice. She listens to her parents. Question 27. Which is correct? I'll call you when I will arrive, or I'll call you when I arrive. The correct one is I'll call you when I arrive. We never use will in the part of the sentence that begins with when, before, after, as soon as, or until when we're talking about the future. Instead, we use the present simple for future meaning. So, I'll talk to you when I get home. I'll text you after I finish. I'll wait here until you come back. Practice saying, I'll help you as soon as I arrive. I'll call you when I reach the station. I'll message you after I eat dinner. Question 28. Which is correct? She works as a teacher, or she works like a teacher? The correct one is she works as a teacher. As means the real role or job, while like means similar to. So, she works as a teacher means that's her profession. She works like a teacher means she behaves in that way, but she isn't one. Try more examples. I work as an engineer. He works as a chef. She talks like a professor. Feel the difference between as and like. Question 29. Which sounds correct? I haven't seen him since 2 days, or I haven't seen him for 2 days. The right one is for 2 days. We use since with a starting point and for with a duration. So I haven't seen him since Monday, but I haven't seen him for 2 days. Repeat softly. I've lived here for 3 years. I've lived here since 2020. I've been waiting for an hour. I've been here since morning. Question 30. Which one is correct? She said that she will help me, or she said that she would help me. The correct form is would help me. When the reporting verb is in the past, we usually shift the tense. That's called backshifting. So she said she would help. He said he was tired. They said they had finished. Try repeating this slowly. She said she would come later. He told me he'd already eaten. They said they were planning to move. Let's pause for a short practice round. I'll say a few sentences with mistakes, and you try to think of the correct version in your mind. Ready? I look forward to see you. Did you fix it? It should be, I look forward to seeing you. Another one, she suggested me to go there. What's the correct version? Yes, she suggested that I go there. And one more, he's married with a nurse. Correct? He's married to a nurse. Excellent. Let's move to question 31. Which sounds natural? I've lived in London in 2018, or I lived in London in 2018. The right answer is I lived in London in 2018. When we mention a finished time in the past, we use the past simple, not the present perfect. Try these examples aloud. I visited Japan in 2015. I met him 2 years ago. I studied French last year. Question 32. Which is correct? He has been late yesterday, or he was late yesterday. The answer is he was late yesterday. Again, any specific time in the past uses the past simple tense. So, I was tired yesterday. They were happy last night. She was late to the meeting. Question 33. Which is correct? She said she has finished her work, or she said she had finished her work? The correct answer is had finished. When reporting past completed actions, we use the past perfect. So, she said she had finished. He said he had left early. They said they had eaten already. Repeat softly. I told you I had done it. She told me she had never been there before. Question 34. Which one is correct? He's the best student of all, or he's the best student from all? The correct phrase is of all. We say the best of all, the most beautiful of all, the biggest of all. So, she's the best singer of all. This is the most comfortable chair of all. He's the most talented of all his friends. Question 35. Which sounds natural. He's very tired because he was working hard all day. Or he's very tired because he has been working hard all day. The correct one is has been working. This is the present perfect continuous tense, and we use it to show a recent activity that has a result in the present. So, she's out of breath because she's been running. He's dirty because he's been painting. They're tired because they've been studying all night. Question 36. Which is correct? I haven't eaten nothing today, or I haven't eaten anything today. The right answer is anything. We avoid double negatives in English. So, I haven't seen anyone. I haven't done anything. I don't know anything about it. Question 37. Which is correct? She said me a secret, or she told me a secret. The correct one is told me a secret. Remember, tell takes an object, but say doesn't. So, he told me the truth. She told us a story. They told me to wait. Question 38. Which is right? It's very cold, isn't it? Or it's very cold, isn't he? The correct tag question is, isn't it? Tag questions repeat the auxiliary or be verb and match the subject. So, you're tired, aren't you? She can sing, can't she? They've finished, haven't they? Question 39. Which is correct? He didn't let me to go, or he didn't let me go. The right one is let me go. After let, we don't use to. So, she let me borrow her car. They let us leave early. He let me try again. Question 40. Which is correct? I've lost my keys yesterday, or I lost my keys yesterday. The correct one is I lost my keys yesterday. Again, specific time. Use past simple. So, I lost my phone last night. I met her 2 days ago. I watched that movie yesterday. Now let's practice shadowing again. Repeat after me slowly, keeping your pronunciation natural and calm. If I were you, I'd study every morning. I've known her for years. She suggested that I try again. I look forward to meeting you soon. It depends on the weather. Excellent. Let's take a small reflective pause. Many learners know these grammar structures, but they forget to use them naturally in real life. That's why it's important to connect grammar with feelings and daily experiences. Think of grammar as a rhythm. Every tense, every preposition, every modal verb creates a rhythm in speech. When you speak with rhythm, grammar becomes automatic. Now, let's do a small storytelling exercise to strengthen your grammar awareness. Imagine this. Yesterday, you were late for work. How would you describe it using correct tenses? You could say, I was late for work yesterday because I had missed the bus. When I arrived, my boss was already waiting for me. He said he was worried because I hadn't called him. Notice how we use past perfect for the earlier action. Had missed, hadn't called. Practice telling this story again with me. I was late because I had missed the bus. My boss was waiting when I arrived. He said he was worried. Excellent rhythm. Let's also try a present perfect story. Imagine you're talking about your progress in English. Say, I've been studying English for 2 years. I've learned a lot of new words. I've started thinking in English more naturally. I've improved my pronunciation and listening skills. Feel that connection. This tense links your past learning with your present improvement. Remember, grammar isn't about perfection. It's about communication. If you understand how these forms shape meaning, you'll use them effortlessly in daily conversations. You're doing great so far. In the next section, we'll move to even more advanced grammar questions, focusing on tricky prepositions, conditionals, and perfect tenses. Keep breathing, stay with me, and let's keep growing together. You're doing amazing so far. Every minute you spend practicing brings you closer to natural English mastery. Remember, the more you listen, the more your brain starts to recognize patterns automatically. So let's keep training together with the next set of grammar questions and daily life examples. Question 41. Which sounds correct? I didn't remember to lock the door, or I didn't remember locking the door. The correct one is, I didn't remember to lock the door if you forgot to do it. When we use remember to plus verb, it means we remember before doing something. But remember, plus ing means we recall something that already happened. For example, I remembered to send the email means I sent it. I remember sending the email means I recall doing it. Practice aloud. I remembered to buy milk. I remember buying milk last night. Feel that small but important difference. Question 42. Which is correct? Try to open the window or try opening the window. Both can be correct, but the meaning changes. Try to open means make an effort to do it. Try opening means experiment to see if it helps. For example, it's hot in here. Try opening the window. You're suggesting it as a possible solution. I tried to open the window, but it was stuck. You attempted, but failed. Subtle, but powerful. Question 43. Which sounds right? He stopped to smoke or he stopped smoking? Both are correct again, with different meanings. He stopped to smoke means he stopped doing something else in order to smoke. He stopped smoking means he quit the habit entirely. Practice a few. She stopped to buy coffee on her way home. She stopped drinking coffee last year. Question 44. Which is correct? I'm used to drive in traffic, or I'm used to driving in traffic. The right one is driving. After be used to, we use a noun or ing form. So I'm used to waiting in long lines. She's used to living alone. They're used to the cold weather. Say it slowly with me. Question 45. Which one is right? He's looking forward to meet you, or he's looking forward to meeting you? Yes, it's meeting you again. Look forward to is followed by ing. Repeat, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. We're looking forward to visiting your country. Question 46. Which is correct? She forgot to lock the door, or she forgot locking the door. The correct one is she forgot to lock the door. When you say forget to plus verb, it means you didn't do it. But forget ing means you did it, but don't remember. For example, I forgot to pay the bill. You didn't pay. I forgot paying the bill. You paid, but it slipped your memory. Question 47. Which sounds natural? He stopped talking to her since last week. Or he hasn't talked to her since last week. The right one is he hasn't talked to her since last week. After since, we use present perfect, not past simple. So I haven't eaten since morning. They haven't met since college. She hasn't called me since last Friday. Question 48. Which is correct? I prefer to stay at home than go out, or I prefer staying at home to going out. The right version is I prefer staying at home to going out. After prefer, both sides should be parallel, either both gerunds or both infinitives. You can say I prefer to stay at home rather than go out, or I prefer staying at home to going out. Try both slowly. Question 49. Which is right? She's been working here since 3 years, or she's been working here for 3 years? It's for 3 years. Remember, since plus starting point for plus duration. So since 2020 for 5 months. Question 50. Which sentence is correct? It's 10 years since I'm living here. Or it's 10 years since I've lived here. Or it's 10 years since I lived here. The best answer is it's 10 years since I lived here. In this structure, we use past simple after since even though the time period continues. Another way to say it is, I've lived here for 10 years. Let's pause and practice some of these forms naturally. Repeat after me. I'm used to waiting in traffic. I forgot to call my friend. I prefer reading to watching television. I haven't eaten since morning. I've lived here for 5 years. Excellent rhythm. Question 51. Which one is correct? I suggest to go out tonight, or I suggest going out tonight. The correct one is going out. Suggest is followed by ing or by that plus subject plus base verb. He suggested going out. She suggested that we go out. Never suggest to do something. Question 52. Which is correct? It's worth to read this book, or it's worth reading this book. The right one is worth reading. After worth, we use ing or a noun, never to plus verb. It's worth visiting that museum. This idea is worth considering. Question 53. Which one sounds natural? Let's discuss about it, or let's discuss it. The correct version is discuss it. Discuss already means talk about, so we don't add about. Say, we discussed the problem. Let's discuss the plan tomorrow. They discussed their goals. Question 54. Which sentence is correct? She told that she was tired, or told me that she was tired. The right one is told me that. Remember, tell takes an object, say doesn't. She told me she was tired. He said he was tired. Question 55. Which is right? I wish I knew her phone number, or I wish I know her phone number. The correct one is I wish I knew her phone number. After wish for present unreal situations, use the past form. I wish I had more time. I wish I spoke Spanish. I wish I lived near the sea. Question 56. Which sounds right? He said he will come, or he said he would come. The correct one is he would come because the reporting verb said is in the past. Backshifting again. She said she would help. They said they would call later. Question 57. Which one is correct? If I knew his address, I will visit him. Or if I knew his address, I would visit him. It's I would visit him. For imaginary present situations, use past plus would plus base verb. If I had a car, I would drive to work. If I were you, I would rest more. Question 58. Which is right? If it will rain, we'll stay home. Or if it rains, we'll stay home. The correct one is if it rains, we'll stay home. In first conditionals, we use present simple in the if clause, not will. If I see her, I'll say hello. If you study hard, you'll pass the exam. Question 59. Which sounds correct? I would have told you if I knew, or I would have told you if I had known. The correct one is if I had known. Third conditional, past perfect plus would have plus past participle. If I had seen you, I would have helped you. If they had left earlier, they would have caught the train. Question 60. Which is correct? I'd rather to stay home, or I'd rather stay home. The right one is I'd rather stay home. After would rather use the base form. I'd rather eat at home. She'd rather watch a movie. They'd rather not go. Let's take a moment to shadow a few conditionals together. Slowly repeat after me. If I knew the answer, I would tell you. If it rains, we'll stay inside. If I had studied harder, I would have passed. Excellent. Let's continue. Question 61. Which is correct? He must to be tired or he must be tired? The correct one is must be tired. After modal verbs like must, should, can, could, might, may, we use the base form. You must study. You should rest. I can swim. They might come later. Question 62. Which is correct? You needn't to come tomorrow or you needn't come tomorrow. The correct one is needn't come tomorrow. Again, no to after modal type needn't. You needn't worry. You needn't stay long. Question 63. Which one is correct? He can to play the piano or he can play the piano. The right form is can play. No to after can or any modal. She could dance. We should leave. Question 64. Which sounds natural? It's snowing since morning or it's been snowing since morning. The correct one is it's been snowing since morning. Present perfect continuous shows action that began in the past and continues now. It's been raining all day. I've been waiting for hours. Question 65. Which is correct? I am here since Monday or I have been here since Monday. The right one is I have been here since Monday. Present perfect again connects past to present. I've been busy since morning. She's been at work since 9 o'clock. Question 66. Which is right? By the time you will arrive, I'll have finished. Or by the time you arrive, I'll have finished. The correct one is by the time you arrive, I'll have finished. Future perfect tense shows something will be completed before a future moment. By the time you wake up, I'll have left. By next year, she'll have graduated. Question 67. Which one is correct? She said she has been sick, or she said she had been sick. The correct form is had been sick. Because the reporting verb set is past, we shift to past perfect for earlier events. He said he had finished. They said they had traveled a lot. Question 68. Which is correct? He promised that he will help, or he promised that he would help. The right one is would help. The same backshift rule. She promised she would call. They promised they would join us. Question 69. Which one sounds right? It's time to go, or it's time we go, or it's time we went. All can appear in different contexts, but it's time we went gives a polite, slightly urgent meaning. It's time to go is neutral. It's time we went feels like we should go now. Practice, it's time to sleep. It's time we started our project. Question 70. Which is correct? No sooner I reached the station than the train left. Or no sooner had I reached the station than the train left. The correct one is no sooner had I reached the station than the train left. After no sooner, we invert the auxiliary and subject, a formal pattern used for emphasis. No sooner had he opened the door than the phone rang. Let's practice some advanced tenses with storytelling. Imagine this short scene. By the time I got home, my family had already eaten. I was disappointed because I had been looking forward to dinner all day. See how past perfect and past perfect continuous describe earlier past actions. Now repeat softly. By the time I arrived, they had left. I had been waiting for an hour before the bus came. Let's take a few examples using modals in daily life. You must be tired after that long trip. You should drink some water. You might feel better after resting. You could call them tomorrow. Notice how tone can change the strength of advice. Must is strong, might is gentle. Now a small practice for conditionals again. Say, if I win the lottery, I'll travel the world. If I won the lottery, I would buy a new house. If I had won the lottery, I would have donated to charity. 3 different timelines: future possibility, present imagination, and past regret. Let's end this section with a small fluency exercise. Imagine you're giving advice to your friend who's nervous about speaking English. You could say, if I were you, I'd stop worrying about mistakes. You must keep practicing every day. It's worth spending time listening to English podcasts. Don't forget to enjoy the process. Now close your eyes for a second and repeat quietly. Grammar is not a rulebook. It's rhythm, logic, and habit. I'm learning to feel English, not just study it. Every structure I practice becomes part of my natural voice. You're doing beautifully. Stay patient, stay present. In the next part, we'll explore more confusing advanced grammar forms, including passive voice, relative clauses, and tricky verb combinations that native speakers use effortlessly. Take a deep breath, smile, and let's continue this wonderful journey together. You're still here, and that's amazing. That's what real learners do. They keep going, even when it feels a little long. That's how fluency is built, little by little, with patience and awareness. In this next part, we'll move into more advanced grammar areas, things like the passive voice, relative clauses, and tricky verb patterns that will truly polish your English. So stay with me, take a breath, and let's keep learning together. Question 71. Which is correct? Someone has stolen my phone, or my phone has been stolen. Both are grammatically correct, but they focus on different things. The first sentence, someone has stolen my phone, focuses on the person doing the action. The second, my phone has been stolen, focuses on the result or the object of the action. That's the passive voice. It's used when the doer is unknown, unimportant, or not needed. For example, the cake was eaten, the door was left open, the meeting has been canceled. Repeat softly, my wallet has been stolen. The documents were signed. The project was completed last week. Question 72. Which sounds correct? The house is building now, or the house is being built now. The correct one is the house is being built now. In the present continuous passive, we use is being plus past participle. So the road is being repaired. The movie is being filmed. Dinner is being prepared. Practice saying a new bridge is being constructed near my town. The song is being recorded right now. Question 73. Which is correct? The problem will solve soon, or the problem will be solved soon. The correct one is will be solved. Future passive will be plus past participle. So the work will be done tomorrow. The report will be sent soon. The test will be checked later. Question 74. Which one sounds natural? They said me the truth or they told me the truth. The correct one is told me the truth. Remember our golden rule. Tell takes an object. Say doesn't. So she told me a secret. He told us the plan. But she said that she was tired. Question 75. Which is correct? He was born in 1990 or he is born in 1990. The correct one is he was born in 1990. We always use the past for birth because it's a completed action in the past. So I was born in Pakistan, she was born in Canada, they were born in the same year. Now let's shift into relative clauses. These are sentences that help you add information naturally without starting a new sentence. For example, the man who lives next door is a doctor. The part who lives next door gives more detail about the man. It's called a relative clause because it relates two ideas together. Question 76. Which is correct? The woman which lives next door is a teacher, or the woman who lives next door is a teacher. The correct answer is who lives next door. For people, we usually use who. For things, we use which. For both, we can use that. Practice aloud. The boy who helped me is kind. The book which I bought is interesting. The car that I drive is new. Question 77. Which sounds right? This is the house who I grew up in, or this is the house where I grew up. The right one is where I grew up. We use where for places. So that's the restaurant where we met. That's the city where I was born. That's the park where I walk every morning. Question 78. Which one is correct? Do you know the man which she's talking to? Or do you know the man who she's talking to? The correct form is who she's talking to. And if you want, you can also say the man she's talking to. We can drop the relative pronoun when it's the object. So, the woman I met yesterday, the book I told you about, the person we saw at the mall. Question 79. Which is correct? That's the reason because I left early, or that's the reason why I left early. The correct one is the reason why. We never say reason because. So that's the reason why he's angry. The reason why I'm tired is simple. The reason why we moved is for work. Question 80. Which is correct? I like people which are honest, or I like people who are honest. The correct one is who are honest. For people, use who. For things, which. Repeat softly. I like teachers who inspire students. I admire people who work hard. I trust friends who tell the truth. Let's pause for a quick practice. I'll describe something, and you try to say it back using a relative clause. Ready? I'll say, I met a girl. She speaks 5 languages. Now combine. I met a girl who speaks 5 languages. Excellent. Another one. This is the restaurant. We had dinner there. Combined. This is the restaurant where we had dinner. Beautiful rhythm. Now let's move toward articles, another area where even advanced learners make small mistakes. Question 81. Which is correct? She is a best student or she is the best student? The correct one is the best student. Use the before superlatives like best, worst, tallest, smallest. So, the biggest city, the longest river, the most delicious food. Question 82. Which is correct? I have an umbrella or I have a umbrella. The correct one is an umbrella because the word starts with a vowel sound, yakash. So we use an. We say an apple, an hour, an honest person, not a apple. Remember, it's about sound, not spelling. Question 83. Which is right? I went to hospital or I went to the hospital. Both can be correct depending on context. In American English, we always say the hospital. I went to the hospital to visit my friend. But in British English, when we talk about being in hospital as a patient, we drop the she's in hospital after surgery. So it depends on usage, not a fixed rule. Question 84. Which one is correct? The life is beautiful or life is beautiful? The correct one is life is beautiful. We don't use the before general, uncountable concepts like life, love, happiness, time. But we do when we specify, the life of a sailor is hard. Question 85. Which is right? I have a news or I have some news? The correct one is some news. News is uncountable, so we don't say a news. Just some news, good news, bad news. Say it softly. I have some good news for you. That's such bad news. Question 86. Which is correct? She gave me an advice, or she gave me some advice. The correct one is some advice. Advice is also uncountable. So we say a piece of advice, or some advice. Let me give you some advice. Can I offer you a piece of advice? Question 87. Which one is right? I like the music or I like music. Both can be right depending on meaning. I like music means generally as a concept. I like the music refers to specific music, maybe what's playing now. I like the music in this movie. I like music in general. Question 88. Which sounds correct? He goes to work by the bus or he goes to work by bus? The correct one is by bus. We don't use the with modes of transport when we say by car, by train, by plane, by taxi. But we can say on the bus, on the train, in the car when using prepositions of place. So I go to school by bus. I'm on the bus right now. Question 89. Which is correct? She plays piano or she plays the piano? The right one is the piano. We use the with musical instruments. He plays the guitar. She plays the violin. They play the drums. Question 90. Which one sounds natural? He has a great knowledge or he has great knowledge. The correct version is he has great knowledge because knowledge is uncountable. We don't use a before it. You can say he has a great deal of knowledge. Let's pause for a practice moment. Repeat after me slowly. Life is short. The world is beautiful. I like music. She gave me good advice. I go to work by bus every day. He plays the piano well. Feel how the rhythm changes with the, a, or some. Now let's talk a little about reported speech, another area that makes English sound elegant and precise. Question 91. Which is correct? He said, I am tired changed to. He said he was tired or he said he is tired. The correct one is he said he was tired. When the reporting verb is past, we move the tense back. Am becomes was, will becomes would, have becomes had. So she said she was busy. They said they would come later. Question 92. Which is right? She said, I have finished my homework becomes. She said she had finished her homework. Yes, that's correct. The perfect tense shifts one step back in reported speech. Practice these. He said he had eaten already. They said they had never been there before. Question 93. Which is correct? He said, I will call you tomorrow becomes. He said he would call me the next day. Right again. Time words also shift. Tomorrow becomes the next day. Yesterday becomes the previous day. Now becomes then. Try saying this. She said she would meet me the following week. He said he was working at that time. Question 94. Which one is correct? He said he didn't like the movie, or he said he doesn't like the movie. Both can be correct depending on the situation. If the dislike still exists now, we can keep it in the present. He said he doesn't like the movie. But if it's only about that past moment, he said he didn't like it is fine. So context decides the tense. Question 95. Which sounds natural? She asked me, where do I live? Or she asked me where I live. The correct one is where I live. In reported questions, we don't use question word order. So she asked me what my name was. He asked me when I arrived. Repeat softly. She asked where I live. He asked what time it was. They asked how I felt. Let's take a small pause to breathe. You're absorbing a lot of grammar, but remember, this isn't about memorizing. It's about feeling how English sounds. Try to imagine these sentences being used in everyday life, at work, in conversations, in movies. That's how grammar becomes real, not mechanical. Now, for a bit of reflection practice. Think of one mistake you used to make often. Maybe I didn't know, or she suggested me, or he's married with. Now repeat the correct version a few times. I didn't know. She suggested that I go, he's married to. Feel how much smoother that sounds. English grammar is not here to scare you. It's here to make your communication clearer, your ideas sharper, and your speech more elegant. The more you practice speaking with awareness, the more naturally these forms will flow. So far, you've done wonderfully. In the next section, we'll explore advanced verb forms, participle clauses, and natural spoken contractions that make native English sound effortless. Take a deep breath. Give yourself credit for staying focused this long. And let's keep learning together in the next part. You've done so well so far. Every sentence, every example is shaping your fluency a little more. You're not just learning grammar. You're developing a new way of thinking in English. So keep breathing, stay relaxed, and let's move deeper into the world of advanced grammar together. Let's explore participles and how they make sentences shorter and smoother. 96. Which is correct? While I was walking down the street, I saw an old friend, or walking down the street. I saw an old friend. Both are grammatically correct, but the second one uses a participle clause to sound more natural. Walking down the street, I saw an old friend means the same thing, but flows more like native English. You can use participle phrases to show two actions happening at the same time. Seeing the police, he ran away. Feeling tired, she went to bed early. Hearing the news, they started to cry. Try saying these slowly with me. Walking home, I listened to music. Feeling nervous, I took a deep breath. Question 97. Which is correct? Because he didn't know the rules, he made mistakes, or not knowing the rules, he made mistakes. The second one, not knowing the rules, he made mistakes, is the more advanced form. It means the same thing, but it sounds smoother. Try a few. Not having eaten breakfast, I felt hungry all morning. Not understanding the question, she asked again. Not knowing the way, they stopped for directions. Question 98. Which sounds correct? After I finished my work, I went out. Or having finished my work, I went out. The second one, having finished my work, shows that one action was completed before the other. It's another elegant participle form. Having eaten dinner, we watched TV. Having studied all day, he was exhausted. Having seen the movie before, I didn't watch it again. Question 99. Which one is right? When I arrived, he left, or on arriving, he left. The correct one depends on meaning. When I arrived, he left is neutral. On arriving, he left sounds more formal and compact. You can say, on hearing the news, she screamed. On finishing his meal, he left the table. Question 100. Which is correct? He was tired, so he went to bed. Or tired, he went to bed? Both are fine, but tired. He went to bed is shorter and more natural in writing or formal speech. Excited, the children ran outside. Surprised, she dropped her cup. Confused, he looked around the room. Now, let's move to advanced modal structures, small but powerful tools that help you express possibility, obligation, and past speculation. Question 101. Which is correct? He must be at home, or he must to be at home. The right one is must be at home. Remember, modals never take two. So, he must be at home. She can swim. They should leave now. Question 102. Which sounds natural? He must have left early, or he must left early. The correct one is must have left early. When we talk about past deduction, we use must have plus past participle. He must have gone to bed. She must have forgotten her phone. They must have taken the wrong train. Question 103. Which is correct? She can have finished the work, or she can't have finished the work. Both are possible, but they mean opposite things. She can't have finished the work means you're sure she didn't finish. She must have finished means you're sure she did. So he can't have seen me. They can't have left already. You can't have read it that fast. Question 104. Which one is right? You should have told me, or you should told me. The correct one is you should have told me. After modals with past meaning, use have plus past participle. You should have called. You could have helped. They might have arrived earlier. Question 105. Which sounds correct? He might have been sleeping, or he might been sleeping. The right one is might have been sleeping. For continuous past possibility, use might have been pluzzing. She might have been studying. They might have been working. I might have been driving when you called. Question 106. Which is correct? You needn't to come or you needn't come. The correct one is you needn't come. No to after needn't. You needn't worry. You needn't stay long. You needn't pay now. Question 107. Which is correct? I used to swim every morning, or I used to swim every morning. The correct one is used to swim. When we talk about past habits, it's used to plus verb. I used to play football. She used to live in London. They used to go out every weekend. Question 108. Which one sounds right? I am used to wake up early, or I am used to waking up early. The correct one is waking up early. After be used to, always use ings or a noun. I'm used to cold weather. She's used to working late. They're used to driving long distances. Let's take a short practice break to connect these forms to daily life. Repeat softly. I used to be shy, but now I'm confident. I'm used to waking up early. You should have called me earlier. He must have been waiting for hours. She can't have forgotten my birthday. Feel how those phrases naturally roll off the tongue when spoken slowly and clearly. Now, let's explore tricky word order and emphasis, things that separate fluent speech from unnatural patterns. Question 109. Which is correct? Never I have seen such beauty, or never have I seen such beauty. The correct one is never have I seen such beauty. When a negative or limiting word like never, rarely, hardly, scarcely begins a sentence, we invert the subject and auxiliary verb. Rarely do we see such kindness. Hardly had I arrived when it started raining. Not only did he help me, but he also inspired me. Question 110. Which one is right? Only after the meeting ended, I realized my mistake. Or only after the meeting ended did I realize my mistake. The correct one is did I realize, inversion again. Only then did I understand. Only later did we discover the truth. Question 111. Which sounds natural? So beautiful she is, or she is so beautiful. The correct one is she is so beautiful. But we can say so beautiful was the scene that everyone stopped to look when we want formal or poetic emphasis. In spoken English, stick with the normal order. She is so kind. He is so talented. Question 112. Which is correct? No sooner I arrived than it rained. Or no sooner had I arrived than it rained. We met this earlier. The correct form is no sooner had I arrived than it rained. After no sooner, use inversion. No sooner had we started eating than the phone rang. Question 113. Which one is right? Seldom we see such honesty, or seldom do we see such honesty. The correct one is seldom do we see such honesty. Again, negative adverbs at the beginning cause inversion. Seldom does he speak in meetings. Rarely do they complain. Hardly ever do I eat fast food. Question 114. Which is correct? I went there only to find it closed, or I went there only for finding it closed. The right one is only to find it closed. After only to use the base verb to express surprise or disappointment. He woke up early only to miss the train. She studied all night only to fail the test. They arrived early only to discover it was canceled. Question 115. Which sounds correct? Hardly I had finished when the phone rang. Or hardly had I finished when the phone rang. The correct one is hardly had I finished. Same inversion rule. Hardly had we reached the station when it began to rain. Let's pause and practice a few inversion sentences slowly. Never have I been so happy. Rarely do we get such opportunities. No sooner had I spoken than I regretted it. Only then did I realize my mistake. These forms may sound formal, but they give your English an elegant rhythm when you want to emphasize emotion or surprise. Now, let's move toward question 116. Which is correct? He speaks English very well, or he very well speaks English. The correct one is he speaks English very well. In English, adverbs usually go after the verb or object, not before. She sings beautifully. They work hard. He drives carefully. Question 117. Which is correct? She never says lies or she never tells lies. The correct one is tells lies. We say tell lies, not say lies. Tell the truth, tell a story, tell a secret. Say hello, say something, say a word. So she told me the truth. He said hello. Question 118. Which one is right? He said me that he's late, or he told me that he's late. The correct one is told me that he's late. Again, tell takes an object. He told me the news. She told us to wait. Question 119. Which sounds natural? I enjoy to read books, or I enjoy reading books. The right one is enjoy reading books. After enjoy, we always use ing. I enjoy swimming. She enjoys cooking. They enjoy spending time together. Question 120. Which is correct? I can't help to laugh, or I can't help laughing. The correct one is can't help laughing. The expression can't help mlunsing means you can't stop yourself from doing something. I can't help smiling when I see her. She can't help laughing at his jokes. We can't help feeling excited about the trip. Now, let's use these forms in a short real-life conversation practice. Imagine you're telling a story about your day. Say softly, walking to work this morning, I saw a little boy feeding pigeons. It was such a peaceful sight that I couldn't help smiling. Having finished my work early, I went for a walk. I met a friend I hadn't seen in years. We talked for hours, remembering old days. This is how grammar turns into storytelling. Not about rules, but rhythm. Not about memorizing, but expressing feelings clearly and naturally. Now, I want you to practice reflection. Think of the verbs you use often. Try changing them with participles, modals, or conditionals. Instead of when I finished, I left. Try having finished, I left. Instead of maybe he went home, try he might have gone home. Instead of if it rains, we won't go, try. Should it rain, we won't go. Notice how your English instantly sounds more advanced, more flexible, more alive. Every grammar pattern is like a small instrument in the orchestra of your language. Once you learn how to play it, you can create your own melody. The melody of fluent, confident English. Let's repeat softly before we close this section. Having finished my work, I relaxed. Not knowing what to say, I smiled. He must have forgotten his bag. I should have studied harder. I can't help feeling grateful today. Perfect rhythm. You're doing so well. In the next part, we'll explore advanced connectors, subtle tense contrasts, and expressions that show cause, result, and contrast. The final touches that make English sound complete. So take a deep breath, stay with me, and let's continue your journey toward mastery. You are still here, And that says so much about your dedication to learning. Remember, grammar isn't something you study once and forget. It's something that slowly becomes part of your thinking when you listen, speak, and practice mindfully every day. Let's keep exploring more advanced grammar questions and examples together, one calm sentence at a time. Let's start with connectors and conjunctions, the glue that holds ideas together. Question 121. Which is correct? Although it was raining, we went out? Or despite it was raining, we went out? The correct one is, although it was raining, we went out. After although, we use a full clause with a subject and verb. After despite or in spite of, we use a noun or ing form. So, despite the rain, we went out. In spite of being tired, she continued working. Practice both forms softly. Although I was nervous, I spoke. Despite the noise, I slept well. Question 122. Which is correct? Even though he was tired, he kept studying. Or even though he was tired, he kept studying. The right one is even though he was tired. Never use of after even though. Just even though plus subject please verb. Even though I was late, they waited for me. Even though it's cold, I'll go for a walk. Question 123. Which is correct? Because of he was sick, he didn't come. Or because he was sick, he didn't come. The correct one is because he was sick. We use because of with nouns, not clauses. So, because of his sickness, he didn't come. Or because he was sick, he didn't come. Try both forms. Because of the traffic, I was late. Because it was raining, we stayed home. Question 124. Which one is correct? I didn't go out because of it was raining, or I didn't go out because it was raining. The right answer is because it was raining. Remember again, because of before a noun, because before a verb clause. Question 125. Which sounds natural? He worked hard, so he passed the exam? Or he worked hard, so that he passed the exam? The correct one is he worked hard, so he passed the exam. So that expresses purpose, not result. He studied hard so that he could pass the exam. Try both slowly. I saved money so that I could buy a laptop. I saved money, so I bought a laptop. Question 126. Which is correct? He didn't study hard, therefore he failed. Or he didn't study hard, so he failed. Both are grammatically correct, but therefore is more formal and connects ideas between sentences. He didn't study hard, therefore he failed. So is more conversational. He didn't study hard, so he failed. You can use both depending on tone. Question 127. Which is right, I was tired, but I went out, or I was tired, although I went out. The correct one is I was tired, but I went out. But connects two opposite ideas directly. Although I was tired, I went out is also fine, but the word order changes slightly. Both mean the same thing, but although sounds a bit more formal. Question 128. Which one is correct? Unless you will work hard, you won't succeed. Or unless you work hard, you won't succeed. The correct form is, unless you work hard, you won't succeed. After unless, we use the present simple, even though it talks about the future. Unless it rains, we'll go out. Unless you study, you'll fail. Question 129. Which is correct? Until he will arrive, we won't start. Or until he arrives, we won't start. The right one is until he arrives. Like when and unless, until also uses the present simple when referring to the future. I'll wait until you come back. I won't leave until it stops raining. Question 130. Which is correct? In case it will rain, take an umbrella, or in case it rains, take an umbrella. The correct one is in case it rains. Again, use present simple for future meaning. Take some money in case you need it. Call me in case there's a problem. Let's take a small shadowing break to feel how connectors flow in speech. Repeat softly after me. Although I was tired, I finished my work. Because it was raining, we stayed home. In spite of the noise, I slept well. Unless you study, you'll fail. Take an umbrella in case it rains. Excellent rhythm. Now, let's move toward advanced tense contrasts, especially between past perfect, past simple, and past continuous. Question 131. Which is correct? When I arrived, he left, or when I arrived, he had left. The meaning changes depending on the order of actions. When I arrived, he left means he left after you arrived. When I arrived, he had left means he left before you arrived. That's the power of the past perfect tense. It shows earlier action. Practice slowly. When I got there, they had already gone. When I called, she had left the office. Question 132. Which is correct? By the time we got to the station, the train left. Or by the time we got to the station, the train had left. The right one is had left. By the time usually goes with past perfect for the earlier action. By the time I arrived, she had finished cooking. By the time he called, I had already gone to bed. Question 133. Which is correct? I was watching TV when he came. Or I watched TV when he came. The correct one is I was watching TV when he came. The past continuous describes an ongoing action that was interrupted by another. I was sleeping when the alarm rang. She was studying when I visited her. Question 134. Which is correct? While I cooked, he cleaned the house. Or while I was cooking, he cleaned the house. The right one is while I was cooking, he cleaned the house if both actions happened at the same time. While I was cooking, he was cleaning also works to show two simultaneous continuous actions. Question 135. Which is correct? I have gone to Paris last year. Or I went to Paris last year. The right one is I went to Paris last year. Specific past time, use past simple. Present perfect is only for actions without a clear past time or with a connection to now. I've been to Paris twice. I went there in 2018. Question 136. Which is correct? I have finished my homework or I finished my homework. Both can be correct depending on context. I have finished means recently completed, still relevant. I finished means just the past fact. I've finished my homework so I can relax. I finished my homework last night before bed. Question 137. Which is correct? I lived here for 5 years. Or I've lived here for 5 years. The right one is I've lived here for 5 years if you still live there now. I lived here for 5 years means you don't live there anymore. Subtle but important difference. Question 138. Which sounds correct? He's been working here since 2010, or he works here since 2010. The correct one is he's been working here since 2010. Present perfect continuous for ongoing actions from past to present. I've been studying English for 3 years. She's been teaching since she graduated. Question 139. Which is correct? I am studying English for 2 years, or I have been studying English for 2 years. The right one is I have been studying English for 2 years. Never use am studying with time expressions like for 2 years. Question 140. Which one is correct? By next month, I will finish this course, or by next month, I will have finished this course. The correct one is will have finished. Future perfect, used to show completion before a future time. By the time you arrive, I'll have cooked dinner. By next year, she'll have graduated. Let's slow down for a moment and shadow some of these tenses together. Repeat softly. I've been learning English for years. I lived in London for 2 years before moving here. By the time I arrived, they had already left. When I was cooking, he was cleaning. I will have finished this by tomorrow. Now let's explore cause, result, and contrast linkers. Small words that connect ideas beautifully. Question 141. Which is correct? He didn't come because he was sick, or he didn't come because of he was sick. The right one is because he was sick. You already know of after because. Question 142. Which is correct? He was tired, so he went to bed. Or he was tired, therefore he went to bed. Both are fine, so is casual, therefore is formal. Try both. It was late, so I went home. It was late, therefore I went home. Question 143. Which is correct? I didn't go out because of the rain, or I didn't go out because the rain. The correct one is because of the rain. Because of plus noun, remember. Question 144. Which sounds natural? He was hungry. Nevertheless, he didn't eat, or he was hungry. Despite that, he didn't eat. The correct form is he was hungry. Nevertheless, he didn't eat. Nevertheless shows contrast formally. You can also say, even though he was hungry, he didn't eat. Question 145. Which is correct? Although he's young, he's very wise. Or although he's young, but he's very wise. The right one is, although he's young, he's very wise. Never use but with although in the same sentence. It's one or the other. Question 146. Which one is correct? She's beautiful, however she's shy, or she's beautiful, however she's shy. The second one is more formal and correct. Use a semicolon or period before however when it joins two sentences. It's raining, however, I'll still go out. He's rich, however, he's not happy. Question 147. Which sounds right? In spite of being tired, she continued working, or in spite she was tired, she continued working. The correct one is in spite of being tired. Always in spite of plus noun or ing. In spite of the pain, he finished the race. Question 148. Which is correct? Although I studied hard, but I failed. Or although I studied hard, I failed. The correct one is, although I studied hard, I failed. Don't mix although and but together. Question 149. Which is correct? He's tall enough to reach the shelf, or he's enough tall to reach the shelf. The right one is he's tall enough. Enough goes after adjectives, but before nouns. Rich enough, smart enough money, enough time. Try it. I'm strong enough to carry it. I don't have enough time. Question 150. Which is correct? Too much people were there, or too many people were there. The correct one is too many people. We use many for countable nouns and much for uncountable ones. Too much noise. Too many cars. Too much information. Let's slow down and practice gently with me. Although I was tired, I kept working. In spite of the rain, we went for a walk. He's tall enough to play basketball. There were too many people in the room. I didn't go out because of the cold. Nevertheless, I felt happy inside. Every connector adds music to your English. It tells the listener how one thought flows into another. The more naturally you use them, the more beautiful your speech becomes. You're doing a wonderful job. In the next part, we'll move into the final area: subtle grammar of emphasis, ellipsis, and natural spoken contractions used by native speakers every day. You're almost at the finish line, so keep your energy soft and your focus strong. You've made it all the way here, and that's something to be proud of. Every part of this journey has been training your ear, your mind, and your confidence. Remember, the more you practice slowly, the faster fluency grows naturally. Let's keep learning together as we explore the finer details of grammar, the soft edges that make your English sound truly advanced and alive. Let's begin with some grammar of emphasis and focus. These structures help you sound expressive, emotional, and natural in conversation. Question 151. Which is correct? I do like chocolate or I like chocolate. Both are correct, but I do like chocolate adds emphasis. It shows you really mean it. We use do with the base verb to add feeling, not to make a question. I do understand you. I did call you yesterday. I do hope you can come. Try saying it gently. I do agree with you. I did enjoy that movie. I do appreciate your help. Question 152. Which is correct? It was John who broke the glass, or John broke the glass. Both are fine, but the first one uses a cleft sentence for emphasis. It was John who broke the glass focuses on John. We can move the focus depending on what we want to highlight. It was yesterday that I met her. It was at the park that we first talked. It was you who inspired me. This form gives your speech a dramatic rhythm. Use it when you want to highlight or clarify something clearly. Question 153. Which is correct? What I need is rest, or I need is rest. The correct one is what I need is rest. This is another kind of cleft sentence starting with what. It means the thing I need is rest. Try a few softly. What I want is time to think. What we need is more practice. What matters most is consistency. Question 154. Which one is correct? Only I saw her there, or I only saw her there. Both can be correct, but the meaning changes with word position. Only I saw her there means no one else saw her. I only saw her there means that's the only thing you did. You didn't talk to her. Word order changes meaning, so be careful where you put only. Try a few. Only he knows the answer. He only knows the answer to the question. Feel how different they sound. Question 155. Which is correct? Not until she called, I realized my mistake. Or not until she called, did I realize my mistake. The correct one is did I realize. After negative adverbs, like not until, we invert the subject. And auxiliary. Not until the sun rose did I see the view. Not until I lost it did I understand its value. Question 156. Which sounds natural? Little I knew about the plan, or little did I know about the plan? The correct one is little did I know. Again, inversion after a negative or limiting word like little. Little did they know what was coming. Little did she realize her life was about to change. Question 157. Which is correct? Hardly had I sat down when the phone rang. Or hardly I had sat down when the phone rang. The correct one is hardly had I sat down when the phone rang. You can see a pattern here. Hardly, no sooner. Scarcely all cause inversion in formal English. Hardly had I reached home when it started raining. Scarcely had I opened my mouth when he interrupted me. Question 158. Which is correct? So difficult the test was that many failed? Or so difficult was the test that many failed? The correct one is, so difficult was the test that many failed. In formal speech, when we start with so plus adjective, we invert the order. So fast was the train that I could hardly see it. So beautiful was the view that everyone went silent. Question 159. Which is correct? Such beautiful weather it was that we went for a walk. Or such was the beautiful weather that we went for a walk. The correct one is, such was the beautiful weather that we went for a walk. Another inversion with such, it gives elegant emphasis. Such was his anger that he couldn't speak. Such was the noise that I couldn't sleep. Question 160. Which sounds correct? Had I known I would help you, or had I known I would have helped you? The correct one is had I known I would have helped you. This is a third conditional inversion. If I had known becomes had I known. Had I seen him, I would have said hello. Had I realized the truth, I would have acted differently. It's formal, poetic, and beautiful when used in storytelling. Let's pause for a few seconds and practice some of these inversion forms together. Repeat softly after me. Never have I been so sure. Little did I know what was ahead. Not until she smiled did I feel calm. So amazing was the concert that I cried. Such was the silence that you could hear the wind. Listen to how rhythmic and emotional they sound. Now let's move into ellipsis, the art of leaving words out when they're understood, making your English more natural and fluent. Question 161. Which is correct? Would you like some tea? Yes, I would like some tea. Or would you like some tea? Yes, I would. The second one is more natural. We don't repeat words when they're clear from context. Do you like pizza? Yes, I do. Are you coming? Yes, I am. Will you help me? Yes, I will. That's ellipsis in action. Question 162. Which is correct? He's taller than I am, or he's taller than me. Both are common and accepted now. In formal English, he's taller than I am is precise. In everyday conversation, he's taller than me sounds more natural. So don't be afraid to use both depending on situation. Question 163. Which is correct? I can play the guitar, and my brother can play the guitar too. Or I can play the guitar, and my brother can too. The shorter one, my brother can too, sounds more fluent. English often drops repeated parts of a sentence when meaning is clear. I've finished my work, and she has too. I'm going to the party, and they are too. Question 164. Which is correct? I went to the cinema, but he didn't go to the cinema, or I went to the cinema, but he didn't. The second one, but he didn't, is natural. Ellipsis again. I love coffee, but she doesn't. I'm tired, but he isn't. It keeps your sentences clean and natural. Question 165. Which one is correct? She speaks English better than I do, or she speaks English better than me do. The correct one is better than I do. After then, we can use I do to keep grammar complete. He runs faster than I do. She works harder than I do. Now let's go into contractions. How grammar lives inside real speech. When we talk, we naturally contract words to make them flow. I am becomes I'm. You are becomes your. They are becomes their. I have becomes I've. It is becomes it's. Repeat softly after me. I'm learning English. You're doing great. It's a beautiful day. I've just finished my lunch. They're waiting for you. We also contract negatives. I do not becomes. I don't. She does not becomes. She doesn't. They have not becomes. They haven't. We are not becomes. We aren't. It is not becomes. It isn't. Listen carefully to this pattern. I don't know. She doesn't like it. They haven't arrived yet. We aren't ready. It isn't fair. We even use double contractions in speech. I'd have, he'd have, she'd have, short for I would have, he would have, she would have. They're not used much in writing, but sound natural in conversation. I'd have called you if I'd known. She'd have helped if she could. Let's practice a short real-life dialogue to hear how grammar, contractions, and natural rhythm work together. Imagine Mia talking softly. Hey, did you finish your project? I did, but it wasn't easy. Yeah, I know. I've been working on mine all night. Oh, really? You should have taken a break. I couldn't. It's due tomorrow. That's tough, but you'll make it. See how natural those contractions sound? Didn't, wasn't, I've, should've, you'll. They give warmth and flow to speech. Grammar rules form the structure, but contractions make it sound alive. Now let's test one more advanced contrast: formal versus spoken English forms. Question 166. Which is correct? If I were you, I'd study harder, or if I was you, I'd study harder. The correct form is if I were you, but in informal speech, many native speakers say, if I was you. The formal version is preferred in writing, but don't worry if you hear both. Question 167. Which is correct? He said he would help me, or he said he'd help me. Both are correct. The second one is just the contracted form. He said he'd call later. She said she'd join us. They said they'd bring dessert. Question 168. Which is correct? I cannot do it, or I can't do it. Both are right, but can't is more natural in conversation. I can't believe it. I can't hear you. I can't find my keys. Question 169. Which is correct? He will not come, or he won't come. Again, both are right. Won't is just shorter and friendlier. I won't forget. She won't agree. They won't be late. Question 170. Which is correct? Let us go now, or let's go now. The correct one is let's go now. The contraction makes it sound more natural and used every day. Let's eat. Let's begin. Let's relax. Let's pause and shadow a few lines with soft rhythm. I'm learning English every day. You're getting better with each practice. She's been working hard. They're going to join soon. We're almost finished. It's been a long journey, but we're still here. Now take a deep breath. You've just gone through some of the most advanced patterns in English: cleft sentences, inversion, ellipsis, and contractions. These are what make native speech sound natural and effortless. You don't need to memorize them. Just start noticing them when you listen to conversations or movies. The more you notice, the more naturally they'll come out when you speak. Imagine listening to English like a musician listens to music. You're hearing rhythm, pauses, stress, emotion, all of it flowing through grammar that's alive. That's how you master English, not by rules alone, but by feeling its melody. You're doing wonderfully. In the final section, we'll review everything, practice real-life dialogues using these advanced forms, and reflect on how to turn grammar knowledge into true speaking fluency. So stay calm, stay present, and I'll see you in the last part. You've reached the final part of this long English journey. Take a moment to feel proud of yourself. You've stayed focused through hours of learning, repetition, and reflection. That's what real progress feels like. Quiet, steady, and meaningful. Now, in this last section, let's bring everything together. We'll review advanced grammar through natural conversation and practice, so you can start using everything you've learned automatically in real life. Let's begin with a short recap using everyday examples. You've learned how "if I were you" expresses imagination. So imagine this softly. If I were you, I'd never give up learning English. If I were you, I'd practice speaking every morning before breakfast. Feel how those small conditional structures create confidence and possibility. You also learned how used to and be used to express different ideas. So let's practice again. I used to be afraid of speaking, but now I'm used to it. I used to make mistakes, but now I'm used to correcting myself. I used to translate in my head, but now I'm used to thinking directly in English. The difference between past habit and current comfort becomes clear when you feel the rhythm in your voice. You've learned how present perfect connects your past to your present. Try these softly. I've studied grammar for many years, but I've never felt this confident before. I've practiced listening every day, and I've noticed real progress. I've learned that grammar isn't about perfection. It's about communication. That's exactly what it's about. Connection, not memorization. Let's play with prepositions for a moment. Repeat quietly. I'm good at English. I'm afraid of heights. I depend on my friends. I'm interested in languages. I'm used to waking up early. Prepositions are small, but they carry the emotion of every sentence. That's why we practice them slowly, carefully, and rhythmically. Now let's return to reported speech for a moment, one last time. Repeat with me. She said she was tired. He said he'd call later. They said they had already finished. Notice how we shift the tenses when we report something from the past, not because of a rule, but because of perspective. Grammar always changes with time and viewpoint. Let's practice inversion one more time. The elegant structure that gives your speech power. Repeat softly. Never have I felt more motivated to learn. Little did I know how beautiful English could sound. Hardly had I finished speaking when she smiled. So amazing was her voice that everyone turned to listen. When you say these slowly, you can feel how grammar becomes music. It moves, it breathes, it lives inside the sound of your voice. Now let's step into real conversation practice using everything together. Imagine this moment. You're meeting your friend after a long time. You say, "It's been years since I last saw you." She smiles and replies, "Yes, it has. I've been working abroad." You ask, "Oh, really? Where have you been?" She says, "I've lived in London for 3 years, but I moved back recently." You nod and say, "If I had known, I would have called you sooner. She laughs softly and says, Never mind. It's good to see you again. In just a few lines, you've used present perfect, past perfect, and conditionals naturally, all without thinking about rules. That's what happens when grammar turns into feeling. Now, another mini dialogue for fluency practice. You. I didn't see you at the party last night. Friend. No, I didn't go. I was too tired. You. You should have come. It was fun. Friend. I know, but I'd been working all day. You. That's okay. There'll be another one next week. Friend. If I'm free, I'll definitely come. See how grammar connects time and meaning, past, perfect, and future, all woven naturally through emotion and context. Now let's practice expressing possibility and certainty again using modals. Repeat softly. He must have been tired after the trip. She might have forgotten her keys. They can't have finished so quickly. You should have told me earlier. I could have helped you if I'd known. These forms make your speech precise. They show how sure or unsure you are about something. Now, for another short storytelling exercise. Imagine you're telling a story from your day using as many advanced forms as possible. Speak slowly and visualize it. Walking through the park this morning, I noticed how calm everything was. The sun was rising, the birds were singing, and I couldn't help smiling. I've been walking there every morning for months now, and I've gotten used to the quiet. If I had stayed in bed, I would have missed that peaceful moment. That short reflection uses participle phrases, present perfect continuous, and conditionals, all working together naturally. That's how grammar becomes experience, not just structure. Now let's gently practice the language of contrast, the although, even though, despite, and in spite of forms that make your English expressive. Repeat with me. Although I was tired, I kept studying. Even though it was late, I continued reading. Despite the rain, we went for a walk. In spite of my fear, I spoke in front of everyone. These are phrases of courage. They show persistence and emotion through grammar. Now let's focus on so and such, another pair that adds flavor to your sentences. Repeat softly. It was so cold that I couldn't move. She was so kind that everyone liked her. It was such a beautiful day that we stayed outside for hours. He's such a talented singer that people stop to listen. Feel the difference between so plus adjective and such plus noun phrase. Let's take one more quiet grammar rhythm exercise, using all tenses fluidly together. Speak slowly, with breath between each idea. I study English every morning. I've been studying English for 3 years. I studied English in school too, but now I understand it better. If I had practiced more back then, I would be even more fluent now. I'll keep practicing every day until English becomes a natural part of me. That's how all the pieces fit: grammar, emotion, and intention working together. Now let's do a short fluency reflection with the emphasis structure. Repeat softly. It was you who helped me the most. It was yesterday that I realized how far I've come. It was through practice that I learned confidence. What I need is consistency. What matters is progress. These forms give your voice authority. They remind you that learning English is not about speed. It's about steadiness and awareness. Let's do one more advanced storytelling practice before we close. Imagine this. By the time I woke up, the sun had already risen. Having slept only a few hours, I felt a little tired. But despite the fatigue, I opened my notebook and began reviewing my grammar notes. I noticed how many small mistakes I used to make and how easily I can correct them now. It made me smile. I realized that fluency isn't about never making mistakes. It's about growing from them. That's the truth every learner needs to remember. Grammar is not your enemy. It's your friend. It helps you express your story clearly and beautifully. Every tense, every preposition, every modal verb is a small tool that helps you build meaning, one sentence at a time. Now, before we end, let's review everything in the form of a calm, guided reflection. Say quietly after me, I know how to use conditionals. If I were you, I'd practice every day. I know how to use modals. I must keep going. I might take a break. I should stay consistent. I know how to use perfect tenses. I've studied for years. I had finished before it started. I will have improved by next month. I know how to use inversion. Never have I been so motivated to learn. I know how to use cleft sentences. It was this lesson that made me confident. I know how to use participles. Walking home, I thought about my progress. I know how to use connectors. Although I was tired, I continued. Take a breath now. You've come a long way. Let's close this beautiful journey with one last slow practice paragraph, combining everything you've learned. Having studied grammar for so long, I finally understand that it's more than just rules. It's a reflection of how people think, feel, and connect. I used to be afraid of making mistakes, but now I'm used to learning from them. If I had given up before, I would have missed this feeling of progress. Now I know that I can express myself clearly, confidently, and calmly in English. I know that every sentence I speak helps me grow. And I know that no matter how long it takes, I'll keep going because every day I'm getting better. That's what true learning sounds like. Slow, gentle, alive. So, as we finish this long English journey together, I want you to remember one thing. Grammar isn't something outside of you. It's part of you now. Every structure you've practiced is resting somewhere inside your memory, waiting to come alive the next time you speak. Keep practicing slowly. Keep repeating softly. Keep thinking in English with kindness and patience. And remember this, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's not about finishing the journey fast. It's about walking it fully. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope you keep listening, shadowing, and speaking every day until English feels as natural as your first language. Take a deep breath, smile, and whisper to yourself softly. I can speak English. I can understand. I can express myself clearly and confidently. I'm proud of how far I've come. Until next time, keep learning, keep shining, and keep believing in yourself.